Hi, my name is Samantha Hill, and I'm here with my grandparents, Dawn and Jackie. Hello. And I'm doing an interview with them about how society has changed throughout time in the way we interact with the natural environment. And so I have a few questions for them. My first question is how society has changed through time in the way we interact with the natural environment. So, what would you say the biggest thing is that's changed?
Well, I believe the main thing would be we recycle today. We reuse things. We don't throw away like we used to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can add to that. And,
Okay.
Take, for instance, the changes that have been made on cars and trucks. The exhaust is now treated through the catalytic converter, and that's cleaned up our air a lot, made life a little safer. Breathing in the environment is got to have clean air to breathe, and I think they've probably improved water treatment with the downtown treatment plant. There's just a few things there. What else can you think of?
I think that pretty much covers it.
When you were in elementary school, did you feel that parents and teachers pushed you to go outside more than teachers and parents of today do?
I can't speak a lot for teachers exactly, but parents definitely. But way back, say, when I was in elementary, it was more of a safe environment to let your kid go out and ride his bike and go clear across town, visit a friend, and just be more out in society on their own. Where today, I think the main culprit here is the safety. You don't feel comfortable with your child being alone outside of maybe their own backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like when we were kids, we'd play out until our parents actually came after us. And I remember my childhood, we'd play out till dark, and my dad would be hollering, come. Well, today you'd never think about leaving your kids out that late, not by themselves for sure.
Yeah.
So that's changed an awful lot. Safety of the children.
Yeah. So how do you think, or how did pollution compare from when you were a child to how it is now?
How did pollution change?
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I mentioned before, the changes in the automobiles and the requirements by government to clean up the air caused a lot of innovation in engine design. Thinking about my background as an engineer, there's been so many innovations in fuel injection. For one, is a much more efficient method of making an engine run than the old carburation method was, and also, like I mentioned before, the catalytic converters, and now they're really bearing down on the pollutants from diesel engines, and that exhaust has to be treated with certain chemicals that will reduce the nitrous oxides to clean up the air and make our air much more safe to breathe.
When you were a child, at home and stuff, were your parents did they reuse things more than they do today? Rather than just throw, I feel like today we just sort of throw leftover food away without even thinking about it, but back then your parents like kind of get after you to make sure to really like clean off your plate like when you're done and
Absolutely, I think we
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
experienced
Definitely.
that. Yeah,
Definitely no dessert if you didn't have a clean plate, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
yeah.
And sometimes I think, even when the helpings, maybe today, I think some younger families maybe give a larger helping to a child to begin with, and they can sort of become overwhelmed, and then it's harder for them to clean their plate. And I think way back when I was a kid, we had, smaller amounts proportion-wise to begin with, which made it also easier to clean your plate, and the child wasn't so overwhelmed with a huge amount of food that they had to clean. So
So what steps can we take to preserve nature better?
Oh, so many steps. One of the things on this 4 acres of land that we live on, one of the steps to keep the environment clean that I've read so much about is have more trees
Yeah.
instead of cut them down.
Yeah.
Trees actually clean the air. If you're surrounded by trees, that's why we like living out in the so-called sticks here. And as cars go by up there on the road, depend on that vegetation to clean the air as it comes in toward the house for us to breathe.
Yeah.
So and our neighbor is the same way. He loves to plant trees, and he believes in the same thing.
Yeah.
That would be my vegetation doesn't hurt a thing. Even I've kind of talked to my wife about having plants in the house to help clean up the air, make the air more pure in the wintertime. Keep it a little more on the moist side, so the air doesn't get so dry.
Yeah. One other thing, like at our house, we have the trash cans that like you roll out onto the driveway like every week. Did you guys have that?
No.
No.
We used to we didn't roll them out. We had to carry them out. But I don't know how much trash we actually. I don't remember having lots of trash like they do today either.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we lived out in the country. When I was kind of a country boy, and we recycled a lot of stuff. Like feed the wild animals and burn the papers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, which we still do
We
today
still
to
do.
a point. I mean, we recycle all of our plastics and all of our newspapers and magazines and cans. And it is surprising just for 2 people the amount that we have.
It's amazing.
I know that if a family, a larger family would recycle it times many more families, it would make a huge difference in.
And that's something we never used to do really when we first moved out here and when your mother was small.
Yeah.
And her sister.
Yeah.
Everything would go into the garbage can. She and I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
We recycle almost everything.
Yeah.
And, what we can't use here, we take to recycling and separate the cans and the plastics and all the newspapers and all that stuff, glass and all that.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing it, really.
Yeah.
I'm retired, I got time.
Yeah.
And even if you think you don't have time, you can find time to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Alrighty. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.